Jonny here, going back to KSP. Today we have a routine mission. We're just casually going to the moon, grabbing some science from around it, coming back. I did grab a new science perk, so we got some thrusters now to stabilize our ship in space. So that's gonna be good. The other thing that's new is that we're gonna be able to spacewalk this time. So what I did, I went in and made some slight modifications to our ship. Here's what I've done. I've added bigger rockets, bigger the better. These are solid fuel boosters, and then I added some fancy lights and some RCS. So we got our thrusters and our fuel tanks there. So let's just go for it. So our mission is to collect temperature data from around the moon in certain spots. So this is also going to be a good test. Just find out like how much fuel we need for trips to the moon as a first step towards landing there. I suspect what we have right now is not enough. Perhaps not even enough for this mission, but we'll see. So we know the drill here. Just get a little bit inclination towards the east. Fire our next stage. Whoa, hold on. SAS on. Not sure what happened there. That's fine. Oh, I see. Our winglets broke. Okay, let's revert to flight here. Something went wrong when we staged our bottom. Alright, attempt number 2. Let's go. So yeah, my feeling is that we're gonna have barely enough fuel to perform the maneuvers we have to perform on the moon for the mission. And we might be in a tricky situation to come back. So the thing with this mission is we have 3 spots we gotta visit. And it's totally okay for us to just hit 2 of the spots, for example, and then come back home, and we'll hit the 3rd one some other time. So make sure nothing explodes. Again, our rocket is way more stable now that we have a sufficient number of wings in the right places. And boom, look at that, like a Christmas tree. I do like my lights. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So we watch for our altitude here. We should be able to get in orbit with this fuel tank. Maybe we'll need to start hitting our next stage a little bit, but I think we're gonna be in good shape. So there you go, we get jab to point our ship to the horizon. Speed up time a little bit as we approach. We're gonna start burning a little early apoaps here because our engines are not the strongest, and I want to make sure that we get a very circular orbit. So we're gonna hit at 35-ish. Alright, let's hit it now. We want to try to be as efficient as possible within our capabilities because we have a pretty limited amount of fuel, so we don't want to go off the walls here. It looks like we'll require a little bit of our upper stage to get into orbit. That's fine. So we need to start thinking about having a little bit more delta V in our rocket, because the next step will be to try to land on the moon. That's going to take more fuel. Also, just generally, we want to pack more delta V into rockets. So we need to start thinking about what we can do. Because of course, if you just straight on add more rockets or more tanks, you're adding on your weight, and then that has a negative effect as well. So it's always a balance, and you gotta find something that works. So we're watching that number. Okay. Well, it's not a very circular orbit, but it's completely serviceable. Almost 1800 delta V. Okay. Let's plot our maneuver. And we're gonna select the moon as our target. There you go. We check our inclination is under 1 degree, so we should be fine. Let's just... Whoops. Looks like we have an encounter more or less close by. 235 apoaps. Okay, that should be serviceable. Yeah, we'll just take that. So just tell Jab to stay prograde here, and we're gonna wait until our encounter comes. Just be a little careful here to not miss our maneuver node. You can see there our thruster is doing work, stabilizing our ship. This thing is way easier to handle than the previous model. Let's just speed up ever so slightly. Okay, we're close to the number I'm looking at is this one down here. That basically indicates when is like the most efficient time to start burning your fuel. Because again, we talked about this, it takes you time to burn your, like, to produce the energy, the thrust, right? You can't just like burn all your fuel immediately and perform the maneuver immediately. Instead, you have to perform it over time, and therefore it's actually more efficient to start burning a little bit before you encounter your maneuver node. So that's all that number tells you. It's just a better indication. So we're packing some science as well, of course. Nothing too fancy on the ship at the moment. In terms of components, I don't think we need much to make a rocket that's... I mean, we don't need much else to make a rocket that's serviceable to land on the moon. I think we just need a better rocket design, because what we have right now is leaving very little fuel in the upper stage is my problem. So let's just slow down our thrust a little bit as we approach the end of the maneuver. And we got an acceptable periaps. And yeah, I think we just speed up until we encounter... We're going to encounter it in 3 hours, that's fine. Quickly approaching the moon. The dark side of the moon. Of course, there is no dark side of the moon. That's something that Pink Floyd perhaps shouldn't have made so popular. But yeah, so what do we do here? We wait until we're at periaps, and then we're just going to get into orbit. So we just burn retrograde, and then we just circularize. Oops. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Something like that. Let's go back to our rocket view. Stay prograde jab. And we're gonna speed up quite a bit here. It does look quite cool to approach the moon. You can see there's a lot of irregularities in the surface that can cause issues when landing, but we should be fine as long as we're a little mindful of where we're going to land. Okay, so approaching our maneuver node here. Oh. Okay. We are point retrograde jab. Okay. So we're just gonna burn. You can see it's gonna take a lot of our fuel actually. So I think it's entirely possible we'll only have enough fuel to visit one of the spots this time around, and we'll have to come back for the others. Alright, so we got our maneuver. 558 delta V left. I think this is very low. In my estimation, we need around at least 300 meters per second left to go back home, and that's going to be our priority here. We don't want Jeb just completely stranded, so I think we'll aim to visit one of these spots. So, as you can see, the inclination of our orbit is not correct to encounter these points. So one thing we could do is warp to a sideways spot, and then we would point to the normal direction and burn. What the normal direction is, we've seen the other two. So we have your retrograde and prograde, which indicate the direction you're moving, and then burning radial translates your orbit laterally, and burning normal modifies the inclination of your orbit. So let me just show you quickly. If we burn normal for a little bit, you can see how our orbit shifts. So we're gonna have to do that, but I'm a little bit wary of how much fuel I have left. So we'll try this out, keeping an eye on our fuel, making sure it doesn't run too low. So yeah, we're running pretty low here on fuel. Again, our priority is to come back home. Absolutely don't want Jeb stranded. So let's burn a little bit again. Yeah, I'm not happy spending any more fuel than this. With a little luck, it will count as if we're in the region, but I don't have high hopes for this, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, I'll tell you what, let's just speed up time here and see if maybe just rotating around will allow us to get an acceptable inclination. Come on. Will this ever work? No. Yeah, so this is not working. We're basically wasted a whole day here. Jab is patient, but I just don't see a way where... Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work. Basically, I don't see a way we can get to those nodes and have fuel to come back. It's tight enough as it is, I think. So I'll tell you what, we'll cut our losses here. Understand that we need a better rocket design in order to I just realized, why are our lights off? Okay, there you go. Yeah, we need a better rocket design. But you know what? We'll take that as a win as well, because that's, you know, experimental information that we didn't have. In terms of science, it doesn't look like we'll be able to get much. We got a little bit. The goo seems to be less dense here. Alright, we'll take that little bit of science. Again, a little bit of science. And now that we're done with that, I think what we'll do is we'll quick save here in case something goes horribly wrong. But I think Jab is gonna go for his first space flight. So first, okay, no crew report. Jab goes EVA for the first time. It's pretty scary. We do have thrusters, so we should be able to stay. For now, we just take an EVA report, which is good science. You've recorded your observations about the situation. And now we're going to go for this first moonwalk, we're gonna call it. So let's do it. We activate our thrusters. Alright, don't freak, Jeb. Don't freak on me. It just doesn't help that the camera is really weird. It's very tricky to control this. I'm trying to just... Whoa! No, 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 the other way, the other way, the other way. Okay, okay, okay. Slow down, Jeb. God damn it, this camera is killing me. Okay. Come on, Jeb, come on. Grab! Oh god, get back in. That was scary. Okay. Whew. We gotta get better at controlling that shit. Turn on SAS. We're getting the hell out of here. Right. Let me just make sure we're doing things right here. Gonna try to use only the necessary amount of fuel to return into Kerbal orbit. Oh. Again, trying to be as pesky, as stingy as I can with my fuel because we just have so little of it. So we're gonna use the map view here. Gonna speed up time as we approach the node. Very important that we don't waste fuel. I'm a little worried that we have just barely enough. So, we're almost there. Just a little patience. Actually, just gonna speed it up a little bit here. Alright, Jeb, let's go. Oh, and cut. There you go. So I'll get this trash out of here. we're going to warp until we're back into Kerbin orbit. And the idea is that hopefully we have enough fuel to just push our periaps all the way down to the Earth. Or Kerbin, of course. So let's get us to close to the apoaps. I would appreciate if you don't encounter the moon. Ah, god damn it. Can you not? Oh god, this is terrible. Oh, this is a disaster. That moon encounter was disastrous. Okay. Just get out of the moon. Okay. So now we have a decision to make because we've spent already 6 Kerbal days in space. And we have a choice. We have very limited fuel for our maneuver. And because our periaps is 13,000 kilometers versus 66, we cannot afford to make this burn at this point. We absolutely need to do it from our apoaps to have a chance of having enough fuel. But what that means is that we have to wait 20 days. Jab is going to have to wait 20 days in space until he gets all the way there. Look at how far that is. This is Minmus, and this is how far we're going. But sometimes you don't have any choice. Luckily, our ship is packed with unlimited Kerbal life sustain. Don't even know what these guys eat, for fuck's sake. I mean, honestly, Jab is just permanently smiling, regardless of the predicaments he finds himself in. Look at him. Yeah, I know there are mods that add life support restrictions and make the game harder, so you gotta plan your journeys, and if you screw up, then your Kerbals die of hunger. But, you know, I'm not really into that. I'm not that hardcore of a player. We're just trying to get some humble stuff, some humble space work done here. So now, we set the Earth as our target, and this is the time we cross our fingers. We point retrograde, we burn, and we hope that we have enough fuel. Come on. Alright. Oh, looks like we're gonna make it. Okay. So one thing that I didn't consider, and it's interesting to mention, is that, you know, when you're so far away in space, a little change in your velocity in one way, or in one direction I should say, has a huge effect on the other end. So, you know, my limited understanding of how trajectories work and so on, that's mainly the reason why this is working. So it's almost as if we paid the price in terms of days that Jab has had to spend in outer space. So we got a good altitude to return. We still have a little bit of fuel in case we need to make corrections, but we're going to warp all the way to Earth. This is gonna take us more time even. Yet another 2 weeks in space. So what turned out to be what we expected to be a very chill, very routine mission actually turned out into a little bit of a unmitigated disaster, or mitigated disaster, I guess, for Jeb. He's going to have spent over a month in space. He probably didn't sign up for that. I'm pretty sure the brochure didn't say that. But hey, we're making it back to Earth. So let's take a look at our current situation here. We have full electric charge. I don't know why our lights turn off sometimes. It's annoying. Our speed is so low because of the size of our orbit that we don't need to worry about the angle of re-entry too much. Generally 30,000 is perhaps not enough. In this case it's fine. So we're just gonna ditch our lower stage here. I know I don't have to, but I like closing these doors. I seem to remember that we didn't get any temperature science. Oh, we did. Okay, keep that. Keep experiment. Did we get any pressure data? We didn't. Let's just grab whatever we can. Try a crew report. Ooh, extra science. It's very round. Yes, correct. Alright, so Jeb is gonna be pointing retrograde here. This is business as usual. We can just speed up until we encounter that atmosphere. Goodbye for now, sneaky moon. Yeah, we need to work on our rocket design here. We need something that gives us way more delta V. I want like, in my last stage I want at least like plus 1000 delta V. And we're gonna have to change some fundamental things in our rocket to allow that to happen. We'll see how we go about it. Let's just stop the time lapse there for a bit. Okay. Can speed it up a little bit. Another thing that I'm considering now is that perhaps placing these tanks here can be dangerous. If they blow up on re-entry, maybe it could blow up some of my science modules. I mean, I would hope that's not the case, but... So yet another lovely re-entry. Speed pretty high here. But I'm pretty sure we're gonna be able to slow down. I guess another thing that happens when you have a trajectory like the one we have is what smart people call an eccentric trajectory, which basically is like the opposite of a very round trajectory, from my understanding of it at least. And the thing with that is that as you approach like the corner of it, if you will, you actually pick up a lot of speed. Again, that's my understanding. I could be wrong. I only have like a very rough understanding of how those things work, but either way, we're making it work here, taking it slow. Is this like a desert? I can't tell if it's a desert or if it's just kind of... Yeah, it looks like a desert to me. So I'm thinking what we can do for efficiency, because right now the rocket we have is not something we can just kind of add more stuff on top of it and it still works. I think it will actually break the design if we add any more tanks at the top. So we need to rethink a little bit how we're doing things. Now, one thing that's occurring to me and that I've thought for a while that we should use is the fuel ducts that we unlocked. So my understanding of that is that basically allows you to translate fuel from one tank to another. I haven't played with it too much, but I think we should be able to use that and get a better design. I'm a little bit concerned that we're going onto those cliffs, but hopefully they're not too high up. Or even we end up going down, looks like. Okay. Instead of reaching the cliffs. I'm always pretty bad at judging when I'm actually going to go over a certain spot or just go flatter than that. In this case, of course, we're surviving yet another mission, getting a little bit more practice under Jeb's belt. We learned some key information, and that is 300 delta V is definitely a correct value in terms of like home fuel from the moon. Should always allow us to make it back home if we have that left. And the other thing is that we need more Delta V. So, things to work on. Another thing that we unlocked is the ability to plant flags. So why don't we just plant a flag? So we go EVA. Let go. Get yourself together, Jeb. Alright. Looks pretty cool. So take a... Don't reset experiment. I want to keep the moon EVA. Plant flag. Mon training site. So I think that gives us a little bit of XP and also looks cool. Look at that. Alright, we're done here. Recover vessel. Let's roll back to the Space Center. Let's see if we got enough science to unlock anything. We didn't get much, so I don't expect actually to be able to, but let's see what we got. We got a little bit of science, but not nearly enough to upgrade anything. That's fine. So the next thing we're gonna look at is our rocket design. And yeah, I need to give it some thought, like how we're going to do this. Because you can see that in our upper stage we have already a pretty low thrust to weight ratio with the Terrier engines. So the thing is, if we just add more tanks at the top, that's just gonna go down, and our ability to perform maneuvers is gonna be... I don't think it's gonna be efficient. So... yeah, we're gonna give it some more thought. And perhaps I can come up with a cool design before next time, hopefully. But otherwise, that's it for me today. I'll see you next time.